Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. We're going to be testing out some new makeup again today. I have my Pat McGrath palette here that I picked up in my most recent Sephora order. I told you I'd be back in a few days to test it out together, and that's what we are doing today. I have held off dipping into this thing for the last 5 days, so I am very eager to test this beauty out. And then I want to test some of the other products I got during that sale, including this concealer right here from YSL. We'll fill in the blanks with some other stuff, both high-end and drugstore, and see what kind of look we can come up with. So I hope that you guys are excited about it. Before we get into the makeup, I want to wish a special welcome to my new visitors. Thank you for stopping by today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing if you do, and make sure your notifications are turned on. With that said, let's get to it. All right, let's start with the primer today. I'm going to take my Stay Glowy Super Gel and just apply a little bit of this on the high points of my cheeks, down the center of my face. By the way, if you missed it, I did a dupe video. The Physicians Formula Butter Glow is a dupe for this. It's almost an exact dupe. Now for foundation, we're gonna dip back into my Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue foundation. It has been so long since I've used this specific foundation that it is seriously like separated. I tried giving it a good shake, but might need to shake it just a little bit more. I really like this foundation. Somehow it just migrated to the back of my drawer and I kind of have forgotten about it more recently. Come to think of it though, I probably should have used something a little more transfer proof. I don't know if this one necessarily is because I'm wearing a cream sweater. I'll try to keep this off of my neck. Shade match wise, I feel like I'm not gonna have to worry too much about blending because this is actually a perfect shade match for me right now. By the way, the shade that I'm using is 2W1 Dawn. So the reason I wanted to use a different foundation with my YSL concealer is because I have been using the Charlotte Tilbury foundation that I picked up during my Sephora order last week. And this stuff is so full coverage. I don't think I even realized it the first time I used it on camera for you guys. But as I've gone back to it, I think I've worn it like 5 times since filming that video. And I don't think I've ever tried a foundation that is as full coverage as that thing is. I almost don't even need a concealer when I use that foundation. I really like it, but I feel like I should come back and do some updates for you guys because there are some tricky things about using that one. It's very unlike any other foundation that I've used before, and I can see why some people might not like it or think it's too heavy or too thick or too cakey. You have to use it with a little bit of caution, especially if you have more mature skin. So I might come back in another video and kind of explain my thoughts on that foundation, especially as I get to know it a little bit better. But I do love the coverage it gives. It makes your skin look flawless. If you are wanting to do pictures or something where you need your skin to look just completely flawless to mask a lot of redness or acne underneath, that stuff will do the trick. But it can be a little bit drying if you have dry skin, so just be careful. This, however, this Estee Lauder foundation, I always forget how beautiful this foundation looks on my skin. It does have more of a luminous finish, which I actually love. I do think it can emphasize some pores right here, which I wonder, it would probably not be a bad idea to use this, then maybe use something like the Charlotte Tilbury or something more satin just in the center of your face if you have major pore issues. But aside from that, the finish of this is just so healthy and dewy looking. Now I'm just gonna go back in, just tap around mostly my brows and my forehead and my hairline with my sponge, just to make sure everything's nice and blended. It was really sunny this morning, crisp. We got some snow in the mountains last night, and then it clouded all back up again. Pretty gray outside today, so not a lot of natural light coming in this room. Now back to my YSL concealer. Again, I have the shade LW1. This is the All Hours concealer. I really like it. I think the applicator is kind of strange shaped, but I don't dislike it. It's just a little bit different than what I'm used to. Seems to have good coverage. I still am not sure that I would call it as full coverage as my Dior concealer. I need to use it a little bit more to really decide. So if you guys have been with me since I finished up my room about 2 years ago. I hate to say this because it's not that I don't like this room. I love having an actual room. If you guys saw my setup from before, I used to just have like an unfinished basement and literally white shower curtains hanging up on the sides of me from the ceiling to kind of bounce light. But for the lighting itself, I actually kind of missed that setup because even having the room all finished, something about just having a little bit more space, it really sucks the light from the small window that I have in front of me, so I don't get as much pretty natural light as I used to get in my old setup. I think a new camera maybe should be in my near future. I don't have any idea what kind of camera to get. I need to start doing some research. Okay, there we have it. That looks beautiful. Good coverage from the concealer. I don't think it's bad. I do think this is more liquidy than the Dior one, which I don't know why I keep comparing these. I just kind of got this based on its full coverage claim. And so far I feel like it is pretty high coverage. I don't know if I'd say full, but it's pretty high. Let's add some powder because I am going to need it with that more dewy foundation. This is the Butter Glow translucent powder. Mostly just want to set down my eyelids, my forehead, and then here, the sides of my mouth and under my nose. Maybe a little bit here on my cheek where I have that annoying spot. Then for bronzer today, I grabbed my NARS cream bronzer. I have the shade Laguna 02. This shade is actually, I mean, I like this bronzer a lot, but I actually think this shade is almost a little dark on me. I have to be very careful when applying this because a little goes a very, very long way. Thankfully, it blends really easily. I do like to kind of tap on the back of my hand first before going in so that I don't get too much product. It's a really great formula though. And I think that this might be the bronzer that has the most product in it in my entire collection. Actually has the same amount of product I think as the ABH cream bronzer. I think I like this one just a little bit better. I ended up decluttering my ABH cream bronzer. The shade was just a little bit off for me. Take a little bit of what's left just here on the temples, add a little bit of shape. Okay, now we're gonna try out my Merit Cream Blush in the shade Rouge. This is the red one that came in the trio set. Unfortunately, I think this set is out of stock online. You might be able to find it in store at Sephora, so check there. But these cream blushes, you guys, I really, really like these. I was worried that I might not because they are so buttery and balmy, but they go on so quickly, probably quicker than any other cream blush that I have, that you really don't need to do any work at all to get them on. So I'm just taking the red shade on my Alter Ego brush and just gonna tap that right onto the apples. This shade is a little bit intense, it can be. So use a light hand if you have more fair skin, but it is absolutely gorgeous. One of those shades that makes you look like you just came back from a run. Maybe not. Nobody's makeup looks this good when they come back from a run. But you know that like, it's cold outside kind of red cheek? That's what it gives you. It gives you like the cold outside. Maybe more like I just got done walking my child to the bus stop. Although let's be honest, I walk Charlie to the bus stop almost every day and my cheeks never look like this when I get home. Moving on, let's add a little bit of highlighter. I'm just gonna take my Essence The Highlighter in Mesmerizing. I'm obsessed with this highlighter, you guys. It is so good. Very messy. Every time I open it, it's kind of like falling apart. It's crumbling around the edges because I never did officially repress this thing after it shattered. But I still like it and I still reach for it all the time. I don't know that I travel with it. And now the part that you guys are all probably here for. Let's dip into this Pat McGrath palette. Oh my gosh, you guys. The blushes. Why was I using the Merit blush? I just realized I made a major mistake. There are blushes inside here that we need to test out today. So I'm gonna actually go back to my sponge that I use to kind of blend out my concealer and my foundation. And I'm gonna take a little bit more of my foundation, just a tiny bit, and kind of try and pull off this blush that I just put down. Cancel out some of this color. I'm not gonna go all the way back because I don't want to take off the bronzer. Sorry, you guys. But I really did not want to go completely wash my face and start all over again. Just take my highlighter brush, kind of going back over the high points of my face. And now let's dip into the Pat McGrath palette, starting with the blushes inside here. See how these test out. So here we have these two blushes. You have a very bright corally shade right here. I don't think my camera's probably doing it justice right now with my bright lights. I will insert a close-up of this palette for you guys, which should be a lot more accurate so you can kind of see what these look like inside the pan. You have a basic rosy nude and then a brighter, more corally pink shade. I'm kind of curious what this coral shade will look like. It's a very kind of summertime looking shade to me. The practical side of me tells me I should probably go with the more nude. Why don't we start with the nude shade and then add just like a touch of the bright coral on top. I'm gonna take this Real Techniques older blush brush right here, which I have been re-obsessed with lately. We're gonna pop that just kind of generously all over the apples of my cheeks. Pretty soft. I really dug my brush in there and I feel like, I mean, it's definitely showing up, but it's not a super bold or pigmented shade. It's very soft and natural. All right, I'm gonna wipe off that same brush and we're going to dip just the tip of the brush into this coral shade right here. Pop this just right here on the apples. Oh yeah, this one's pigmented. This is gonna be a little bit more suitable for those of you with more medium or deeper skin tones. You definitely could use it if you're more fair, but just be more careful. Tap just around the edges. I feel like I went a little strong over on this side. And there we have it. I am sorry about the screw up, but hopefully this gives you kind of an idea of what those blushes are like. They look really pretty. Let's jump over to the eyeshadows. Actually, before we do that, let me quickly just fill in my brows just a little bit. I'm just gonna take my Benefit brow pencil, just lightly fill in my brows. Then topping that off with a little bit of my Refi brow gel. I feel like I say that wrong. I think Refi would be wrong. So I say Refi, but then I wonder if I'm not saying it right. And now let's jump into the eyeshadows in the Pat McGrath palette. So I've swatched these, but I have not used them on the eyes yet. But after swatching them, I don't want to say that I'm disappointed in this palette, but keep in mind, this was a $76 eyeshadow palette. Now, I feel like I should maybe not say this until I use it. Maybe when I use it, my mind will be changed. But I do feel like I'm missing a shade or two from this palette, and the fact that it was $76 and I only got 9 shades in here. Initially, I didn't really think about that, but now that I have the palette, I feel like there are a few things that I am maybe gonna be missing in this palette as far as color range goes. Now, I love the Pat McGrath palettes they did for the holidays. They did one last year, I didn't pick up that one, but I picked up the one from the year before, the red one. Let me just grab it. This one right here, I believe that these were also around $76, and look how many shades you get inside here. I know that they don't include blushes, but you do only get 2 blushes and they're smaller than her original sized blushes. So I wish they would have included 12 shades inside here. I feel like that would have satisfied me just a little bit more. I kind of feel like I got stiffed a little bit on the quantity of product in this. Just based on my first impression, I just kind of feel like there's not going to be enough shades in here to make me feel like it justifies that type of a price. But let's give it a try. Maybe something will super wow me with these colors that will change my mind. I just would have liked to see a couple more shades, and I feel like they could have squeezed it in here. Just scooch things over a bit and include one more row of 3. I think you could have made it happen. So we're gonna start off in this shade right here. It's a very nice kind of light mauve pink. It actually looks similar in color to the blush. I do love a good pink transition. And I'm excited to try the duochrome in here. This lightest shade right here, this kind of light sparkle, has kind of a blue-green duochrome shift to it, which I think is gonna be beautiful and I do love, but there are some days that I don't want a duochrome on my eyes. I kind of feel like a duochrome can be a little bit strong, a little bit intense, not really for me, for an everyday kind of look, and I would have liked to see a lighter shimmer that was more of like a neutral, especially to go with those greens. I think that would have been beautiful. I want to try out this shade on the center of the lid, and then we're going to try out the duochrome because I can't not try out that duochrome because it's so interesting. But let's start with this shade in the center. This is just kind of a, I would call it more of a light copper than a rose gold, but it has kind of a rose gold leaning to it. But it is more brown than pink, I would say. I like that. Okay, let's add a little bit of depth by, let's dip into this red right here. For that, I'm gonna take my Sydney Grace smaller blending brush, tap that into this shade and run it right along the lash line in this outer corner here. And I'm lightly gonna drag this under my lower lash line as well. I might come back and take that brown on the lower lash line. Really nice formulas so far. I'm just gonna build up a tiny bit more on this side. They seem really nice and pigmented. They're blending very easily. I'm gonna come back in with this brush right here. This is my Sigma E25. We're gonna dip into that dark brown here. I'm gonna take this, starting at the outer lower lash line, the outer corner of my lower lash line, and then slowly just dragging that in about halfway. Kind of a dark shade, so I don't want to go in too far. Now let's jump over to this shimmer, the pink blue-green duochrome. This is so interesting. With my ring finger, I'm just gonna tap this all over the inner third of my lid and slightly pull that in. Oh yeah, that is bold. It's pretty, but it is quite bold. I mean, that blue sparkle is very, very noticeable. Definitely unique. I don't think I have anything quite like this. There's more green in there than I was thinking. Initially looking at this palette, I was thinking, okay, what's gonna go with these greens down here? But this actually would go really well with either of those greens, I think. Although this one seems really interesting. It's kind of like a golden green. Okay, there we have it. That's just about 2 layers on each side. It is beautiful. Very pretty. I'm definitely not disappointed in these colors. I still just wish I had a few more. That's my only complaint. Okay, let's add just a little bit of liner. I'm just gonna take my Wet n Wild liner and do the usual waterline, both sides, just on the outer half of my upper lash line, and then a little wing here at the outer half of the lid. All right, now I'm gonna throw on a couple coats of my Flower Beauty Dream Warrior mascara, which I believe is one of the most underrated mascaras, by the way. I love this stuff. I will throw that on, come right back, and we'll finish off with the lips. And there we have it. This is the finished makeup look. It is beautiful. I do really like this look. I think that shade on the inner lid is absolutely spectacular. It's definitely unique to what I have within my collection already. I still strongly find myself wishing for $76 that there were just 3 more shades inside here. 9 shades compared to the 18 that were in here. I just would have liked to see just a couple more. I think it would have made the whole palette just a little bit more versatile. And as far as the blushes, jury's still out on these. I like them. I think they're very pretty. I'm not sure I like them, at least these shades, as much as I like the other 2, as I mentioned, but we will keep playing with it and I will give you guys an update soon. Let's finish off with the lips. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of lip liner. Let's go with this one right here. This is Essence Cool Mauve. I'm just gonna overline a bit with this. Then we're gonna take what I have not done for a while, a lipstick. I'm gonna take my Charlotte Tilbury JK Magic lipstick. And then on top of that, I'm gonna just throw a little bit of my CoverGirl Yummy Lip Gloss. And here we have the finished makeup look. Again, I'm kind of on the fence about the Pat McGrath palette. I think I would be seeing its praises a little differently if its price point was around the $50 mark. I just think 76 is a little bit high for just 9 shades and a couple blushes. But that said, I don't think it's a bad palette. I like the shades in this one better than I liked in the pink or berry toned Love palette. I always forget the name of that one. The limited edition 6-pan Love palette that she came out with last spring, I believe. These colors I like a little bit better, but I just don't know that I think it's worth that very high price tag. That said, I really like how this look came together today. Let me know what you guys thought of the palette, the Merit blushes that we sort of tried on and then untried. I'm sorry about that, you guys. And also the YSL concealer. Have you guys tried out this concealer? I really like it. My skin looks really nice today. I'm gonna keep playing with this with some of my other foundations that are more medium coverage and keep you guys posted, but so far I'm really liking this. And again, if you happen to miss the first video where I tried this out, one of the biggest selling points for this concealer is how much product you get. You get a 1/2 ounce in here, which is a lot, especially for a high-end concealer. I think my Kosas concealer only has like 0.2 ounces, so quite a bit different. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Let me know what you guys ended up picking up from the sale, if you did shop during the Sephora sale, or maybe you did the smart thing and skipped over it and saved your money for Christmas, which is probably what I should have done, but that's okay. This was fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let me give you one last reminder. Please consider subscribing before you leave, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Oh boy, my hair was not fully dry when I pulled it back up, so I've got some weird kinks going on in here. I maybe should have just left it up.